What's up, guys? Here's another random rant for me today. Hope you guys are doing well. I've been thinking about, the way the world is set up. Every civilization that has existed thousands of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and even to the present. Regardless of what sort of flag you put on it, what type of culture or what type of language, the same works for governments, mafias, militias, and companies. There's everybody in sales and in business know that there are five motivators that make people make the decisions they make: pain, fear, anger, greed, and jealousy. Those are five things that motivate people to do things. And when I think of people that appoint themselves as authority, whether it be judges, policemen, they always use fear and intimidation to control you. Essentially, you're basically being told what to do at gunpoint at all times. I sit back and I look at the problems in the world, past, past and present. What governments always do, they always take somebody or something and tell the masses that the reason they have these problems is because of this thing. Whether this thing be other ethnicities, whether this thing be other races or other countries, they use these fear and intimidation tactics to convince you that somehow common people in other places of the world are your enemy. Every time you have a problem in the world, guys, when you look at governments are companies. If you had Microsoft, and let's say if they made a bad version of Windows that's jacked up, would you blame the janitors at the office or the assembly line workers? Or would you blame the people that designed it if it was designed with a flaw? And so I believe that it's no different with government. Whenever you have problems in your government, I think that it's a red herring that we blame a nation's problems because of other countries or, the different government officials and think tanks. They use false dichotomies to keep the masses divided. Every time you have a problem, guys, I don't think it's because of common people. Because as a common person, the only thing you can do every day is work and pay your taxes. That's it. As a common person, that's all you can do. Now, if you're doing everything that's required of you, you work and you pay your taxes, why is it that the deficit cannot be balanced? Why then is it that, you look up year after year, people say the same thing, use the same dubious arguments. I listen at these debates and I listen at these people talk from past and present. They don't give you a straight answer. The answer is always convoluted and it's full of weasel words. And they never answer your question. So anytime something is wrong, you always blame the leadership. If I got a problem, let's say, for example, if I got a problem with literacy, so let's say if I have a problem with literacy in my country, does it make any type of intelligent sense that I say, well, this other country is responsible for you being illiterate? So instead of you getting mad at me as the leaders, you see, I got you mad at somebody else when in some cases this is clearly not the other country's fault, but it's my fault as your leader. But Instead of me dealing with that, I'm shifting the blame on somebody else. And never fails. And that's how it's always done. I never could understand, for the life of me, you get a person say, okay, you know what? This person is your enemy. Now go kill him. Now you got these people running off the war to kill. And I always wonder what would happen if just one day, if the soldier said, you know what, on everybody's side, say, you know what, we ain't fighting nobody's war. Because essentially, when you look at all these wars, the wars are started by the rich, the elite, the think tanks, these powerful idealists. They create these wars, and ultimately, it's the poor. The common people are forced to fight these wars without a say so. They're the ones getting injured. They're the ones where their family members are losing parents and children. These people that started these wars, they're not losing a damn thing. They're not losing any money, and they're sure not losing any sleep over it. I'm willing to bet, if you take common people across the world, I'm willing to bet if you set an American troop down and you set down one of those Islamist extremists down in a bar someplace, I bet you after they've had a couple beers, they probably forget all this nationalistic stuff, and they probably forget that somebody told them that they're their enemies, and they probably enjoy a cool beer and enjoy a cigar. A common person is not your enemy, and a person may be part of a country. Now, for example, I may have been, you may have been born in the United States. Now while you may be able to enjoy a few things, you shouldn't be made to feel guilty, and you're not responsible for the deplorable acts or some of the deplorable acts that the country has done. You get some people, like if they go to another country, they say, oh, he's American, they get mad at you. It's like, look, man, I'm just a guy, man. I got nothing to do with that. I'm here, I'm here because I'm interested in your culture. I want to interact with the natives. I want to interact so it can help me grow, so I have more experience. But I guess since everyone's experience is sporadic, is lacking. The only thing you got is the TV and social media, and these people are shaping your views. And I think that the way that the world has turned now, it's sad to see that people, common people, intelligent people with this technology age, we got all this information available to us, but we still allow ourselves to be controlled by weasel words, fear, intimidation, greed. Half the time when we look at these wars and things like that, it's because somebody wanted another resource belong to somebody else. So they go to war over these resources. You get people mad. You get people worked up and so forth. You understand something. When you deal with these issues like economic, with these housing bubbles and scarcity, you got to understand something. If I control the output or the input, not only do I control the prices, I control the traffic, and I can force you into a certain area or manufacture a false sense of scarcity. You ever notice how in America, like on Thanksgiving, like right around that time, they have these so-called Black Friday sales. And if you actually research, you will see that 2 months, maybe 3 months, is 3 months going into it, they actually raise the prices up a little bit. They raise up the prices. And certain stuff they only put out limited amounts of. So you see these people show up in line. You see them in line at the store, showing up, camping out overnight. These people getting worked up thinking that they're getting a deal or a bargain. and they think that it's not enough. So you just look in these stores where people getting trampled to death. They create this chaos where people run around the store snatching items out of each other's hand, and it's like, look, this is a false sense of scarcity. There's plenty to go around, but the thing is, if I'm the manufacturer, I know. Remember, I talked about those 5 motivators. If I limit the amount of products that I put out, I know I can control you with the false sense of scarcity because you got fear of somebody cutting in front of you. You're jealous because you say, well, I've been standing in line camping out for 2 days, you're angry. You get greed because you want things you don't need. And if I can control you in any of those 5 areas, I can make you do anything I want you to do. You know, I look at these places where you got these so-called overpopulation issues, you know, especially in these big cities like New York, California, Tokyo, and so forth. There's plenty of space to go around. The thing is, guys, if you look into economic development and planning, they got a term called having something landlocked. If you look at these big metropolis cities, the people that deals with the municipal finance, the people that deal with the revenue bonds and the securities, if I purposely limit how many houses are being developed, if I limit the amount of apartments that are being developed, I am creating a false scarcity and I'm forcing everybody to be condensed to one area. You know, when you look at most countries, even though you got a lot of people, most countries is just open space. There's plenty open space that could be developed. You know, I look in some places, you know, where they drive the price of housing sky high. They don't allow anybody to build any new houses. So now you got more people chasing fewer homes. So it drives the price up. And now I'm forcing everybody to live in one area. Now I'm controlling the flow of commerce. And I can control your spending habits. Let me tell you something, guys. Every issue you look at is controlled by some type of special interest group or some sort of think tank. And you know, when I think about the geopolitical scope, everything is always propaganda. Everything is social engineering. Because if you think about all of these campaigns that's going on, they've been going on for hundreds of years, right? From saving the environment to overpopulation myths to people saying crime is high. And then on all these things, you know, it's just interesting because when you, if you, I'm babbling. I think I'm going to end it on this point. Guys, I guess in the end, any issue that goes on, you always blame the leadership. Now, here's me creating an analogy, which is shameful. If you go to work in a company, your job is to work in a department, and they tell you, well, look, you got this whole department. Your job is to save us money. Your job is to make sure production is up. If it turned out that production is low and you made mistakes, they're not going to fire all of the workers and say, well, management you stay has got to be the workers' fault. They're going to get rid of the leadership. Have a good day.